Warning, this video covers topics such as suicide, abuse, self-harm, and related issues. Viewer discretion is advised. Doki Doki Literature Club is a visual novel that slowly turns from your average dating simulator to a psychological horror thriller. If you already know about the story, please skip to the timestamp on screen. The game opens up with the normal exposition. The main character is walking to school and hears someone behind him. That person is his childhood friend Sayori, who is clumsy and somewhat of an airhead, but always makes sure everyone is happy. The main character and Sayori walk to school and talk about what club we should join, with Sayori saying that we promised we'd at least attempt to join one. We then time skip to the end of the day where Sayori convinces us to join her club, or at least take a look at it, under the promise of cupcakes. When we get to the club room, we are introduced to the rest of the main cast. Yuri, the shy, timid, and older girl, Natsuki, the young, energetic hothead, and finally Monika, the club president, most popular girl in the school, and someone we already know due to Monika and the main character being in the same class last year. The rest of the day is spent learning more about each character. We learn Natsuki likes manga and is good at baking, being the one who made the cupcakes. And we also learn that Yuri is more of a fan of literature than most of the people in the club. The game then transitions to the poem section. The poem section allows you to create a specific poem tailored to your liking of one of the characters. However, for a strange reason, you can't choose Monika. Anyway, making a poem for a specific character will allow you to unlock special scenes for said character. For day 1, if you make a poem for Sayori, you will basically berate her a little and attempt to button up her blazer. If you make one for Yuri, you'll read with her, and if you make one for Natsuki, you will read some manga with her. Can you tell who my favorite is by how brief the other explanations were? After the special scene, we get to the second choice, that being showing our poems to the other characters. While the order that we show our poem in doesn't matter, I always like to choose the person who I wrote the poem for first. While I won't read to you each of the characters' poems, they do give you a deep dive into their own emotions and background. Okay, let's speed this up a little. The next few days are normal, and then we get to Friday. Sayori, not feeling well, leaves the club early. We then get to choose who we spend our weekend with. Natsuki to bake cupcakes for the festival, or Yuri to make banners for the festival. The next day, we go to Sayori's house to check in on her, and when we enter her room, we see that it's messy and there's a ripped calendar on the left side. Weird. While we talk to Sayori, she tells us everything is fine, but we don't fall for that. So we basically force Sayori to confess that she's had very bad depression her whole life. That the reason it takes her so long to get out of bed every morning is because, well, she simply just doesn't have a reason. The reason why she's always hungry is because she doesn't eat in the morning. How she makes everyone happy, or at least tries to, because she sees it as a waste if people try to make her happy. Saying, why have everyone waste their energy and care on me? We tell Sayori that will help her, and then we go to the baking scene with Natsuki, or the banner making scene with Yuri. When Sayori catches us outside, she basically has a breakdown. She tells us she loves us, and then you get your next choice. Do you love Sayori, or will you always be her dearest friend? After you definitely choose to love Sayori back, You get probably one of my favorite sprites with her. During this scene, Sayori tells you how, even though this should be the happiest moment of her life, she's still sad. There are still rain clouds in her head. And us as a player says we'll do everything to help her. When we get to the club room the next day, Sayori isn't there. Weird. While we're in the club room, Monica shows us the pamphlets she made for the festival. We flip through them and see poems made by each of the characters. But when we see Sayori's, hers is weird. Her poem reads, "Get out of my head, get 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 out of my head before I trust you, get out of my head before I believe everything she said to me, get out of my head before I show you how much I love you, get out of my head before I finish this poem." But a poem is never actually finished. It just stops moving. After reading this, we're instantly set off. Monica, however, is acting strangely fine, even telling us to not strain ourselves as we run to Sayori's house. When we get to Sayori's door, we try everything to get her to talk, but she isn't. So we eventually bust the door down ourselves, and we see Sayori's lifeless body hanging from a rope, showing signs of struggle as we see blood from her fingertips, showing how she tried to stop, to reverse her choice, but it was too late. The game then breaks as we see text on the back of the screen. The game then ends as well, but it's a false ending. We only really ended Act 1 of the game. As Act 2 opens, we open with the same new game screen. However, it's clearly broken. The game then continues as normal. However, instead of Sayori getting us to join the club, it's Monica. The game even glitching out, forcing Monica to be the one to show us. We get to the club room, and as we expect, only Monica, Yuri, and Natsuki are there. Act 2, however, is where the game stops trying to hide itself, because it simply has nothing left to hide. The characters say things they wouldn't do, and also do things they wouldn't normally do. We then get a poem from Yuri, which makes her my least favorite, as it's covered in her blood, and a yellow stain that is meant to be her fluids, if you know what I mean. And she's just very weird. She then tells us she loves us, and whether you accept her or not, she will then stab herself repeatedly. We then see Yuri's lifeless body slunched over in the classroom, forcing us to stay with her over the weekend, and also making good use out of the skip button as well. We watch as Yuri's body slowly decays, her skin becoming pale, and the blood on her drying. Once this scene is over, Natsuki is the first in the club room, and upon seeing Yuri's body, she screams and throws up. Monica, coming in the room after her, asks why Natsuki ran out, and then when she sees Yuri's body, she then basically reveals herself if you haven't caught on already. She then deletes Yuri and Natsuki's characters from the game. She then deletes the whole world, leaving just us, her, and a classroom. We then have Monica give us a speech about how she only wants us and she doesn't care what she has to do to get it. In order to basically beat the game, we have to exit the game to the in-game desktop, where we then have to go to our files and delete Monica's character file ourselves. Upon reopening the game, it of course is glitched out, and Monica's file, no longer being in the game, slowly deletes her, and that is where the game ends. Now, I did of course leave some things out. That way, if you wanted to get the game yourself, there's still some surprises left for you. Now, let's go over each character and why they're amazing. Except for Yuri, and I'm sorry, but I just don't like her, and I don't think I can give a fair and unbiased character analysis on her. With that being said, let's start with Monika. Monika is, of course, the president of the Literature Club and the main antagonist of the game. She is self-aware and does anything to get with the player, even if it means destroying her world. While she can come off as unapologetic, as her motives aren't explicitly stated, she's actually very sympathetic, as imagine you're just living your life, talking with your friends, and you start a new club, only to suddenly realize you're in a game, and all of your friends that you've made are characters the main character can date, but you're not even a side character. So Monika messes with the game's code to make the others look less desirable. She makes Sayori's depression worse, Yuri's knife obsession even more obsessive, and she makes Natsuki's home life even worse, with her dad becoming more abusive and her malnourishment being even worse as well. However, due to Monika not being good at coding, she goes too far, and Sayori ends up killing herself, Natsuki just dies, and Yuri stabs herself. However, it is said that Monika didn't have it in her to fully delete her friends, so she does still have some humanity. Next is Natsuki. Natsuki is said to be the youngest in the club, with her small frame and attitude further exemplifying that. But her attitude isn't just because she's meant to be the tsundere of the cast, but because she's always teased for her interest and she just wants to defend herself. And her small, undeveloped frame is because of her malnourishment and abuse from her dad. Next is Sayori, who is my personal favorite. As I said before, Sayori has depression, and she doesn't want others to care for her as she sees it as a waste of energy. Sayori's depression is hinted at a very early part of the game, even in her first scene, through her poems, and also right before she tells us when we see her room. Remember that ripped calendar? When someone has depression and a ripped calendar, the part that's ripped off typically means someone's going to end their life either on that day or right before it, showing how even before Monika made her depression worse, she was always planning on ending her life. I personally like to think that if Monika didn't do anything, Sayori would have chosen to not end her life, however. Sayori is a perfect representation of what depression looks like. It isn't obvious, it's not shown, it's just there, and many people deal with it in their own ways, even if it's not a healthy way. In conclusion, Doki Doki Literature Club is an almost perfect game, fooling its players into thinking it's a dating sim, and then pulling a complete 180 into a psychological horror. This game has changed me, and I love it. And while I know this video isn't original, I hope I can at least give my say on how I feel about it, and maybe get others to play the game themselves. Also, the game's free on PC and mobile and only costs $10 on consoles. Okay, bye!